Ladies and gentlemen, what's good, y'all? It's the Chillmeister Chris Gary, being the last to say Happy New Year to all of you who enjoy what we do here at Focus Fights Audio, as this is, of course, a very special edition of our show. But not just because of the fact that, well, the first show for Focus Fights Audio 2026, but also because I have a guest, off to my left if you're watching this. Well, actually, off to my right if you're watching this. But if you're listening to it, I'll go ahead and give a full introduction here. This man is a three. This man is an 0-3 professional mixed martial artist who happens to be a military veteran. He stands in at 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighs 215 pounds, and hails from Denver, Colorado, by way of Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Known for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu prowess, he is a star in the making, if he would not want to say so himself, I guess. But still, though, this man is known as the Honey Badger, Dean Burley. How are you, sir?
Doing excellent, brother. Thanks for having me. Always excited to talk JMMA, especially the most exciting show of the year. Big New Year's show always gets me hyped.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we'll get down momentarily. But as you were talking to me beforehand, how people, I mean, what am I trying to do here? Basically, before we start the show, we had a little chit chat. Why don't you introduce yourself more to may not be familiar with you, even though, of course, your record may say otherwise.
Dean Burley, aka the Honey Badger from Machado Jiu Jitsu. Competed a lot in Jiu Jitsu, amateur MMA, did a little bit of pro MMA, once I was old. But I enjoy getting in there, seeing the fighters face to face, getting the most up close interview I can with them. I've covered the Rocky Mountain region for a while now for MMA Buzz. They cover the Colorado and Rocky Mountain shows, so got to sit front row at a lot of really cool events, meet a lot of cool people, and just hard not to get in there and train and compete with them, get the itch again, So maybe I'll get back in there in 2026. I'd like to maybe compete a couple more times before I get too old.
I mean, come to think of it, I'm not going to guess your age, but when it comes down to some of the competition that's out there now, especially since you said you hope that Sparta Combat does another one night three sport tournament, do you think you can handle that pressure?
Ooh, those are tough, man. Really good prospects and a really interesting rule set. Sparta goes boxing, kickboxing, MMA in those rule sets. I pitched to them sumo BJJ MMA. They didn't really like that one, but that is one of the most exciting events that really takes place in the continental U.S. So if I can be there, I would not be able to turn something that exciting down. Or if it's in a different weight class, you can bet I'll be there getting everybody the live results.
I see. Now, when it comes down to, I mean, obviously we can talk a little bit more about your career aspirations later on, but still, though, when it comes down to the RIZIN New Year's Eve event, which, if you're unfamiliar with what it was called, Japanese, it's called Shiwata no Cho Suamono Matsuri. In English, it's called the Year in Super Powerhouse Festival. But after, summarizing everything, the fact that there were 45 people in attendance at the Saitama Super Arena for this spectacular, and at least a good chunk of people watching around the world, be it Canada on the Fight Network, in the US it was on pay-per-view per RIZIN.tv. I mean, basically, when you look at the event and how it was, I mean, what were your overall thoughts about it going into the opening ceremony? Because those were, I mean, it was like watching some old school Pride FC brilliance for a modern audience, not knowing that this is RIZIN's 10th anniversary year wrapping up to a close.
Yeah, the aesthetics and the production was just beautiful. They put the money into the production like Pride used to. They packed that big arena. For those that don't know, this is a huge night in Japanese broadcasting. You could equate it to the Super Bowl in the U.S. for the most expensive commercial of the year. People would brag, "Oh, I got my company's commercial on the Super Bowl." Well, if you were in Japan, you'd want your company's commercial on the Variety New Year's show, one of the biggest events there is, and uh, Japan, especially the New Year's shows, have a real history of setting records for attendance. In fact, if you look at like the top 10 attendance records, almost all of them are going to be outside the U.S. and a lot of them are in Japan. Um, K1 and Pride did so many big events there, and when we see a great card or a great fight just not have that level, and we know what's possible, it can kind of be disappointing sometimes. You think, oh man, I wish this would have been so cool instead of being in an empty arena in front of 10 people in some TV studio in Nevada. This could have been in front of 40,000, 60,000, one time allegedly 90,000. Just, man, so epic, so incredible. It really feels like that final level of the video game, the final boss, and just the most epic thing you could have. So it's intriguing. Even before the first fight starts, it's such an intriguing, almost a festival.
Oh yeah, most definitely, because of the fact that when it came to the whole ceremony aspect of the event, and we got a comment on the live feed basically saying, "Hello, nice talking to you, Dean. This is from Takashi Furuhata, who is a close friend of the show. Konnichiwa, domo arigato, genki desu ka? Hope you're doing well." But still, though, point of the matter is, when it comes down to this New Year's Eve event, I mean, yeah, you still had the fact that there was a fight taking place beforehand. I mean, obviously, it's like the Olympics. You always got to have some type of take place before the opening ceremony. But still, though, even though you had the fight between two amateur MMA fighters who fought as amateur jiu-jitsu practitioners beforehand, yeah, we don't really know much about the amateur MMA aspect of it all, especially aside from these two fighting. I mean, and the two that I'm mentioning here, and I'm getting down to the list. The two that I'm mentioning here are Enzo Yamazato versus Yuri Suda, who is the son of RIZIN veteran Moeri Suda. And of course, Yamazato submitted Suda via armbar 3:15 seconds of round number 2 to become the RIZIN Koshian High School Tournament champion at 125 pounds, 57 kgs. But still, though, aside from that fight, which not that many people really knew about beforehand, I mean, you could tell that between the amateur fight and the opening ceremonies, it was really destined to be a damn good night for RIZIN, was it not?
It was excellent. We got, I think, 9 finishes out of the 15 fights. 2 more were scheduled. They're supposed to have 17, but they fell through. Still, 15 was incredible. It was kind of the perfect amount. Ended up with 5 title fights. So just, man, they really delivered on this one. I thought they had a real successful Super RIZIN in the summer too. So I hope that these things combined are going to bring them some financial success and some longevity.
And about that, when it came down to that particular show, I mean, I think that Super RIZIN was the only show for RIZIN this year that could top what this New Year's Eve show had did. And I mean, in the case of this particular show that we're about to talk about in the RIZIN New Year's Eve show, the only show that managed to get more people in the seats, more ass seats, was Wrestle Kingdom a few days later at the Tokyo Dome. But it makes sense because it's the damn Tokyo Dome.
Yeah.
Still, though, point is, when it came down to the RIZIN New Year's Eve event, you had the opening ceremony, you had all the hype pomp and circumstance that made a New Year's Eve event in Japan worth watching by that promotion under the superior rule set for the last 10 years. But I can't help but think, we can't run our way through the entire show and just talk about, just save the best for last. We got to talk about the best first. And I think that when it came down to it, we pretty much seen the best featherweight going today. And that is Rajabali Shadulayev, a.k.a. Steamroller Shadulayev, knocking out Mikuru Asakura. I think the official time, and I'm looking at it now, but still, though, point of the matter is Rajabali Shadulayev knocked out Mikuru Asakura. 2 minutes, 54 seconds of round number 1. Punches from the back mount position. Shadulayev improves his record to 17-0, 7 knockouts, 10 submissions. Asakura, in his second world title opportunity, his first since November 2021, he drops to 19-6. But still, though, when you look at Shadulayev and the fact that this Kyrgyz eagle, this eagle from Kyrgyzstan, is just soaring over the competition, do you think that RIZIN should lock this man down a little bit more? Just, giving him a few fights on a title defense contract?
Absolutely. This guy is one of the best in the world. The similarities between him and Topuria on their rise up at featherweight, they were very similar. I think this guy, you look at the top, let's say the UFC 10, 15 rankings, all those guys would be pretty wise to turn down a fight with the Steamroller. He could hop right in there. He's, one of the best featherweights in the world right now. And he just looks excellent. It was tough to watch, man. It's tough to watch the fan favorite because the crowd was so behind him. They got so loud. It was so epic. But yeah, he got crushed the way everybody gets crushed, man. This guy is a killer. You're going to hear about this guy. The whole world's going to know who he is pretty soon.
Come to think of it, would you say that he would be... because let's face it, he's one of the best not in the UFC right now. But let's just say if he were given the opportunity to test his mantle against, some of the best that the Octagon has to offer, say that there's a chance that Shadulayev would steamroll through those competition, through that level of competition than he would here in RIZIN?
I think so because of his style. He puts the damage on people. That's what he does. It's not like something where you watch it objectively, see him win, but you think, okay, when he gets someone with some defense or some more experience, they'll stifle him. This guy's a killer. So, his lifts, his suplexes, his ground and pound, and he has a great jiu-jitsu game and submission game as well. It's kind of what people were saying about Topuria early in his career. The great wrestling, great jiu-jitsu, and then, by the way, find out he can strike too. So, yeah, he's going to be a handful. People are going to know who he is. They've got a stacked division. They've got some relevant fights for him, so I hope they can keep him interested and keep him under contract for sure.
Now, as far as Mikuru Asakura goes, this basically drops him down after a slight 2-fight winning streak after losing to Ren Hiramoto at Super RIZIN 4, I think. No, actually, it was Super RIZIN 3 about 2 years ago. This stops Asakura's 2-fight winning streak and makes him lose his second title opportunity. But do you think that, for Asakura, Mikuru in this case, have we seen the last of him fight in RIZIN or anywhere in general? Because I do think that he's going to lead more to promoting breaking down, putting over his music career, putting over his other aspects of his life. But this fight career stuff, after a knockout like that, is going to probably put him on the back burner for a bit.
Yeah, it was a nasty one, man. I'm worried he might have got a concussion the way that they took him out of there. he took one of the first suplexes just right on the back of his head, and then he took some nasty ground and pound as well. Um, he retired once after he lost to Ren, so it's possible his heart's not really in it. He's had a good career. He's probably at the end of it. He really did earn this title shot, though. He beat 2 former champions. But it's tough to come back from that. He just wasn't competitive. He was very popular, but he has a lot of he has other business ventures. Some of the I don't know what you call them, like blue collar fights that he does, and some of the content he makes. It's just like nothing that anyone's ever seen before. I think it could be popular everywhere, but it is Japanese language, so it does kind of limit. So to see how many people watch it versus the percentage population of Japan, absolutely crazy how popular this guy is.
I mean, to be honest, I only watch that breaking down stuff that he does when former UFC fighter Tyson Nam was a part of that show. And it was only for a brief moment. So I get what you mean when it comes down to the fact that that non-Japanese fans probably won't understand breaking down, especially considering it's 1 minute MMA, 1 round MMA, not 1 minute MMA. Good Lord, that would be faster. But still, though, you're right. Asakura came off of a knockout win over former champion Chihiro Suzuki and a split decision win over Clever Koike in a fight that was supposed to have been different from their fight 4 years earlier. But still, though, Mikuru has nothing to hang his head over. I mean, it's just like what happened with Jin Sasaki got knocked the fuck out by Norman earlier in the year. I mean, even though he got knocked back a few weeks to when he couldn't be able to realize he had a fight or not, it's just the fact that, maybe Asakura needs to realize his ventures outside of the fight game is more important. Otherwise, as I said, Brian Norman Jr. did knock the fuck out of Sasaki in that one fight from the summer of last year. It's just the fact that if Mikuru was fucked up in that particular manner, I don't think he would have remembered the last half year of what went down instead of that particular thing,
Do you think he still has this beef with Red, though? That could be the one guy that gets him to stick around?
I would think so. I mean, I know some people who basically have a grudge with the camp of Ren Hiramoto. I mean, not personally, but still, though. Point is, I don't think that he has an outright grudge. I still think that they have enough bad blood with each other just to basically ignite Mikuru wanting to return. But still, though, Mikuru needs to think about his future. Because that knockout that he had, that loss that he had to Dulayev, who's literally a steamrolling star in the making, that could have been, the beginning of the dominoes falling. And I just hope that in Mikuru's case, he doesn't end up doing anything stupid that might cost him more than just his career,
That fight for sure took some time off his life, man. You fight a guy like Kleber and he pulls guard and triangles you tap out, you're fine, You don't really lose any brain cells. But he lost some brain cells in this one, man.
Yeah, of course. And Takashi is basically saying in the comments, they have 3 events leading into the new year on the big stage. The New Year's Eve show for RIZIN, the New Year's Day show for Pro Wrestling Noah, and, of course, January 4th for Japan Pro Wrestling. In case you're watching this live, that was a week ago. And he also says that the opening was good, but the music was not loud enough. The reason why the VTR maker, Daisuke Sato, was the stage producer was because he wanted to play the speakers, but the orchestra group decided to play live music only. And again, he says that breaking down is especially a big issue because a couple of days ago, some school kids made violent videos that got put on Japanese television. These kids were highly influenced by breaking down MMA, according to the media. So, maybe it's best for Mikuru not to think about breaking down right now.
Yeah. But if you're his tax accountant or his manager, I mean, he could be a money-making machine at so many. Like, look at the MMA fighters or alleged MMA fighters like Andrew Tate, who have permeated the mainstream. Nobody actually goes back and watches their fights. So if Mikuru gets big in the States, no one's even going to ask what his record was, if he was any good or not. They're not going to remember if he won or lost. They're just going to, see his new product. I looked at his, he's in some fashion or something now as well. Is that right?
I mean, that's another thing he's basically dipping his toes into, aside from music and business. I mean, if anything, he's at least trying to keep himself preoccupied away from fighting. And Takashi is saying this violent news became a major public issue. And people are now saying that breaking down is a bad influence, at least in Japan. I mean, again, we don't really get a lot of that here. I mean, unless it's that fuckwad Andrew Tate, which I'm glad he lost.
Yeah.
This is appreciation for him. But still, though, point of the matter is, Mikuru Asakura needs to think of something better to do with his time other than fighting. Otherwise, he might end up being one of those old punch stories that people only talk about in passing. But, speaking of punch drunk, I did not know that Ilkan Nazimov had hands, because he had his own little steamroller session himself when he knocked out and officially stopped the reign of Roberto Satoshi Souza as RIZIN lightweight champion in 13 seconds. Now, keep in mind, Nazimov was supposed to fight Black Panther Benoit, and those two were supposed to definitely face off against each other. But because Shunta Nomura had a torn ACL, torn ACL, torn ACL, that'll put his ass out of commission for at least the next 6 months to a year, Nazimov took advantage of this opportunity and knocked out the champ in 13 seconds. So, with all the talk about the fact that this could have led to Roberto versus Shadulaev in a title unification bout, now you got the monkey wrench of Ilkan Nazimov thrown into the picture, and is kind of begging me to ask, will Nazimov get the rematch with De Souza first, or will he end up taking De Souza's place as, a potential violent man in 2 division?
Yeah, I mean, he deserves either one, to be honest. I think, was going to be what he was attempting his 6th title defense, was the previous champ, Roberto Satoshi. So you got to respect his tenure, what he's done for the promotion. And he looked good for the first 11 and a half seconds. He knocked him down with the low kick. They were scrapping. In the interview, Nazimov says he was waiting for the takedown. I don't know. It looks like he was throwing that knee high, maybe to the solar plexus. Either way, you can't call it a fluke. He threw the knee to do damage, and it did excellent damage. But I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch, seeing how it plays out if it goes a little longer. Maybe if his teammate Clever Koiki gets the next title shot, gets a rematch against the champ, the Steamroller, putting those two close together, or those fights on the same card. If Nazimov and Shadulaev both win, you could then face them off in the ring, really build an epic title match. Historically, Nazimov didn't do great at lightweight. He was set to fight at lightweight against the Black Panther, but I'm kind of glad that one didn't take place. It probably would have hurt our guy pretty bad, but.
You tell me. I mean, when it came down to Black Panther Benoit, his replacement fight wasn't much better either.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it. But still, though, when it comes down to Nazimov, he basically proven that he. I mean, it's like I said. It's like I can continue to say now. Late notice doesn't mean shit if you're not prepared. And Nazimov came prepared in more ways than one. Let's just say that. The dude came with a game plan. He stood on business for 13 seconds, yeah, but that knee sent shockwaves around the fight world. And in the case of Roberto, hats off to him. The dude has a 14-3 RIZIN record. I mean, I think it's 14-3. Still though, point of the matter is the dude has a 13-3 RIZIN record, and he's basically been holding down the fort for most of the last 6 years. But it just sucks now that he now go back to the drawing board. But when you think about Roberto's trajectory, what does this loss signify for him? I mean, other than the fact that his reign is now over, he'll have to basically be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I want to say even some of his losses were in the Bellator versus RIZIN series, so they had to even kind of seek talent outside of RIZIN to find good fights for him and find people who could, be competitive with him. He's one of the best. He, was there forever defending the belt, not trying to move around, not trying to leave. So I think they're gonna respect that and probably give him the rematch. I think a rematch is in order, and it depends how it goes. If he just gets shut down in a long fight, then we kind of know, that Nazimov's a better fighter. But it's totally possible that Satoshi could regain the belt in an immediate rematch. He might be right back on top on the next time we see him.
I mean, like, I wouldn't say, are you sure about that? But then again, the dude had 5 consecutive first round finishes, in that span before getting wrecked in 13 seconds. So, maybe you're on to something here.
Yeah, when I was previewing the Clever Koike versus Vugar Karamov fight, I thought that was a great fight, great divisional relevance there. But I did think back to Vugar's fight with Satoshi, and I thought, man, they have such similar styles. And it actually didn't go the way I thought. I think Satoshi is a little bit bigger, stronger, doesn't fight exactly the same way, although they do have similar skill sets. I'm not ready to write him off yet. Let's just say that. That's my take on him.
I mean, I get what you mean, especially considering the fact that, 13 seconds means a lot in fight sports. I mean, just remember the fact that back in the day, somebody got knocked out in less than 2 seconds. Crawford Grizzly versus the late, great Jimmy Thunder back in 1997. But still, though, point of the matter is, Roberto Satoshi Souza can fight again. Hopefully, he will fight again if he regains all his confidence. But still, though, for right now, Nazimov's the future. And I can't wait to see what happens with him and where his future goes. Now, when it comes down to one of the bigger, well, not really the bigger title fights, I would say, because when it came down to the flyweight title fight between Hiromasa Ogikubo and Yuki Motoya, which also acted as the flyweight Grand Prix final. I mean, Ogikubo, once the bridesmaid, never the bride, finally, after winning the Japan Grand Prix 4 years ago, actually, he finally gets his championship gold. After getting mollywopped by Kyoji Horiguchi twice, now he gets his win via unanimous decision over Yuki Motoya, the former champion of D. And you gotta wonder here. Ogikubo's 30. He basically been wanting to fight for this title for about the last 20 years, if not more. You have to think with Ogikubo winning his belt, Do you think that he's going to have a tougher time retaining that?
I mean, yeah, like you're saying, it was really nice to see him finally get his flowers, to finally see both guys that put in so much for RIZIN and for JMMA. And, back when we saw him on Ultimate Fighter, he did great. I thought they were foolish not signing him. He made it to the finals, lost to Tim Elliott, who has been like ranked in the top 15 for like 10 years straight. So, I mean, no shame in that loss. He could have brought a lot of more international fans if UFC had kept him, but he, put in some great work, great tenure in Japan. It was really beautiful to see him kind of get that opportunity and tell the crowd to never give up, to show that you could, win that world championship late in life. And he showed a hell of a chin. They were scrapping in the pocket, and he was no-selling everything Montoya landed on him. So he still has it, I mean, I know Yuki's not the craziest power puncher, but he showed he still has a lot of durability, good conditioning, so he might still stick around for a while. I'll love to see him defend the belt as often as he can.
I see. I mean, to be honest, I just hope his body doesn't break down. I mean, you know what they say about dudes after 30? They
Tell me
start.
about it. Tell me about it.
Hey, yeah, no shit. But still, though, when it comes down to Montoya in this case, I mean, now we got to start worrying about him because this was his second title opportunity in RIZIN after losing to Kiyoshi Horiguchi. No, actually, not Kiyoshi Horiguchi. Naoki, who we will talk about in a matter of moments after his fight with Danny Sabatello. But still, though, point is, Montoya's now lost 2 RIZIN title fights. One to Inoue, the other to Ogi Kubo. Do you think that eventually we will see more of him working way up the ladder? Because he does train out of American Top Team down in South Florida.
Yeah, it was a close fight with Naoki Inoue. I think it was a split decision, or even if it wasn't, I remember it being a pretty good competitive fight. In the tournament, he defeated Hiroya and Makoto Shinryu, who end up they fought in a fun fight on this one as well. If you consider Shinryu to be the number 1 contender and want to match him against Oki Kubo, I think that's what a lot of people are thinking are going to happen. Well, this guy just beat him, so he can still pick up wins against, the top-ranked guys. I'm not ready to write him off yet, but he didn't make the adjustments in this fight. Oki Kubo, in round 1, it was still a great fight all 3 rounds, but rounds 2 and then round 3 really heated up. They were brawling. Oki Kubo was finding his range. I felt like in the first round he didn't have his range. He only really landed one slip, big uppercut, busted open Yuki's nose. The visuals didn't look great for him. I think the visuals and the blood looked a little worse. And when he landed on Oki Kubo, it didn't really do any damage to Oki Kubo's face. So maybe he just doesn't hit as hard. But I think the visuals kind of changed it a little bit as well. But, Oki Kubo was clinching a lot in the first round, putting him on the ropes until he found that range. In rounds 2 and 3, he really found his range with the brawling, with the slipping, with the boxing. Super exciting fight, but Yuki's got to make those adjustments. He's got to make those adjustments between the rounds and in the fight. I just didn't see him do that. He kind of looked like he was doing the same thing all 3 rounds. I've been guilty of that as well. It's hard when you're against a tough opponent getting punched in the face. But he still has the potential. He could go back to the drawing board, and if he stays at flyweight, where he's most competitive, I think he could maybe have one more chance.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't see him not getting a title shot, especially if he continues to work his way up the ladder. And let's just face it, the dude's known for fighting in deep. He ain't going to be doing that, or he's going to definitely be plying his trade, not as a jobber to the stars, but definitely as somebody that's a force to be reckoned with. Who knows? You say that Makoto Shinryu Takahashi's the number one contender. I think if you look at Motoya's strength of schedule, I mean, compared to Ogikubo's strength of schedule, I think that Motoya is going to continue to have to fight more of these fights compared to Ogikubo. And the crazy thing about it is, this fight that they had on this particular show, it was better than the fight that they had against each other. That was all the way back at RIZIN 17 back in 2019. But still, though, who knows? Maybe we might get a trilogy between these two.
The Grand Prix was great as well. All the fights in the Grand Prix were good. I love Grand Prix. I hope they continue to do them. One thing I want to say, though, is you have to make it, you can't use some asymmetrical number like 10 people in a Grand Prix. I'd like to see it be a power of 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, just to make it fair.
I mean, come to think of it, you don't want to make it seem like March Madness.
Yeah. But still, 8 fighters would have been perfect. 10 just seemed weird. Have a play-in fight in the previous show before the Grand Prix kicks off, but having one winner not be able to go on to the next round, I thought was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, that was like, and the even worse part about that was they basically had to, make a little town hall type thing as a way to get the people to vote for them, and it was really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, it's Japanese customs for them to do something like that to get the television viewers, but I really think it's fucking stupid. They can't get a decent number Grand Prix out there. Like, I mean, if you look at the NFL playoffs, you got 7 teams in each division. Well, 7 teams in each conference vying for a championship, with the main team that got the best record taking a week off. I mean, they could have done something like that, record, so to speak, just to get, something interesting going on. Make it a tournament worth fighting for if they can't get the 16 men required.
You could put buys in there. I think Crow Cop had a buy, so a buy is just as good, but all the fighters and buys combined, it really needs to be a power of 2. You can't have 10 people or some odd number of people in your tournament.
Oh, yeah, of course. And Takashi is saying Shintaro Ishiwatari said that Hiromasa Kikubo used a lot of boxing technique that he recently trained or learned off of. I mean, I guess he didn't really learn much. I mean, I guess he definitely put a lot of that to good use for this fight, but who knows? Maybe we'll see more of that fighting spirit out of Ogikubo down the line. Now, when it came...
Ishiwatari.
Huh?
Powerful Ishiwatari. I always enjoyed watching him.
Oh, yeah, of course. And, I mean, that's why Shintaro Ishiwatari was much of a legend in Kong Place. But Now, when it comes down to the title fight that really pissed me off, I mean, I would have to easily say it was this one that we're about to talk about here. Danny Sabatello got his ass handed for most of the 3 rounds that took place on the card. And yeah, he did show a lot of prowess just to hold his own against Naoki Inoue, but the moments when he got his ass handed made me afraid for him, not of him. So it really irked me when, the fight was decided 29-28 Inoue, 29-28 Danny, and then 29-28 for Danny to win the title. I mean, like, that's some questionable shit, don't you think?
I rewatched it this morning, actually. I had it for Inoue both times. I actually thought it was closer the first time, believe it or not. I don't really have a problem with Sabatello. In fact, I think he plays the heel correctly. I think he knows where the line is, and he doesn't go over it. He'll, call somebody a swear word, like a PG-13 swear word. He won't really go full racist like Kobe or Chael. He won't break the rules like Cena Caribbean, who punched the referee one time. Yeah, I think he knows where the line is. He knows the pro wrestling bad guy things to say, but I think he doesn't want to cross the line. I think he's kind of the archetype. All right, if you want to be the bad guy heel, English speaker in Japan, this is how you can do it and not go too far. So I mean, I respect that, but as far as the fight went, I didn't think he did the most damage. He got good takedowns, but it's all about the damage. They score the fight as a whole. So the analogy I would use is it's like when you're playing Street Fighter and you go the time limit, whoever has the most health on their health bar left, that's who the computer gives it to. And the first time I watched the fight, I thought, okay, Naoki was damaging Sabatello's health bar early and often, bringing it down. And then maybe Sabatello made these big gains in the third round. It doesn't matter who was ahead longer. All that matters is what's that health bar look like at the end? Whose is bigger? And maybe you need a microscope or a magnifying glass to even see it. But watching it the second time, while I appreciated Sabatello's effort to finish and that he knew he needed a big third round or a finish, he tried hard, he went after it, but he actually didn't land that much. He tried a lot of big overhands. He tried the soccer kicks and stomps.
Mm-hmm.
And I was excited for it. I love it. But a lot of them didn't land as clean as maybe I thought when I was watching it live. I thought Inoue did more consistent damage. Anytime he got a reversal and got on top, he was instantly doing ground and pound, even if it wasn't big or didn't do anything. But Sabatello did almost no ground strikes in the first 2 rounds. It was just control and just the takedowns. He ate a lot of calf kicks. So I think if I had to say whose health bar still had more left at the end, definitely Inoue. I thought he won that fight. Sabatello didn't even consider a rematch. He called out who he thought the number 1 contender is. Was it Fukuya?
It was Ryuya Fukuda, and we'll talk about that fight in.
I'm gonna fix this light real quick.
Mm-hmm. But still, though, when it came down to Sabatello, you're right. Dude really didn't have that much of offensive prowess. He did throw some nice kicks. Obviously, some soccer kicks and punches, all that good shit that people like about the superior rule set. It's just the fact that for somebody who basically talked that big shit, so to speak, but didn't really do much to back it up, it was kind of like how the last 2 Bellator fights and his one fight in the PFL, where he got choked out by Tiger Magomedov. He lost to Rocky Onstock, and he fought Lazar Rome to a draw. It kind of resembled that, so to speak. It's like where he was just basically talking a whole lot of shit getting packed in. When it came down to his RIZIN fights, the knockout win over Shinobu Ota, the decision win over Shoko Sato, which was just all types of crazy. And then this, I gotta imagine that the only guy with a more crazier strength of schedule to a title, when it came down to results, is probably Brock Lesnar in the UFC, right?
Yeah.
You don't get that type of, I wouldn't say mediocrity. You don't get that type of impact just off of basically letting somebody hit you for 3 rounds and doing very little to get a win in return.
Definitely his name and his talking made him more marketable. Bantamweight and featherweight are just full of contenders right now. So they could have argued someone else. It is what it is. He got the shot. I appreciated his effort that he really went out in the 3rd round and gave it everything he had. but I still didn't score it for him. He tried and just I felt came up short. Um, it was in a way attempting his third defense of the title, so I think they might consider a rematch, or they might consider doing the Fukuda fight. And then I still think Inoue is really close to a title, but like you said, he yeah didn't really make the strongest case in his in-ring actions the last couple years. But he's got it now. And I was mentioning that. Okay, now I live in a city of 500,000 people. I might be the only one who knows who Mikuru Asakura is. I might be the only one who knows any of those four guys in the main event and co-main event. If I showed the lineup to people from the gym, I think there's a couple people they might remember. Sabatella would probably be the biggest name. I bet my teammates might know if I tried to get him to watch this. So he does.
I mean, story short, you could go to all the fight gyms in the greater Denver area, and they would probably only know of Sabatella.
Yeah, they might have heard of Torres, maybe. Heard of him. Remembered him from UFC or something.
Right. But still, though, long story short, when it comes down to Sabatella, yeah, he didn't do much to win the title, but he's a name brand. And having a name brand that title brings prestige. So when it came down to Sabatella, yeah, he may not be everybody's cup of tea. I'm damn sure he ain't mine. But still, though, he says he wants to defend that title as much as humanly possible. I think
87 times.
Oh Lord, don't even get me started. But still, though, point is, Sabatella wants to defend that title as much as possible. You may as well have gotten him a good start off with Inoue, and then possibly move on to other opportunities. Now, as far as Inoue goes, how quick do you think it'll be before he gets a shot if the rematch doesn't come quickly?
I don't think he took any damage, really. He got taken down and controlled at points, but he's probably pretty quick for a turnaround. And I don't know. I think when someone does beat Sabatello for the belt, it'll be really satisfying. So it may lead to a cool moment, especially if he keeps beating Japanese fighters by like questionable decision, and then one of them finally like finishes him. Could be a really cool moment. So maybe it is going to build to something that'll make us happy in the long run.
I mean, to be honest, it's like what we talked about when it came down to the two main event fights. It might lead to some type of Rocky moment where, somebody might end up steamrolling him just as much as he steamrolls through the competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it came down to this women's fight, I think the main thing about it was the fact the ring rust for Reina Kubota was definitely showing. Seika Izawa the Starflower Seika Izawa made Reina Kubota tap via guillotine choke 1 minute 56 seconds of round number 2. And this was Kubota's first fight in about 2 years. All that time, Seika Izawa maintained her stance as the obvious consensus number one choice for best 105 to 108 pounder in mixed martial arts, male or female, but most definitely female. And obviously, this was her third title defense. But now comes two questions. One, how much does Reina have left in the tank? And two, as we and I talked about this before, I don't know if you probably have heard me say it, but Seika Izawa, her next goal should be to fight domestic. Well, actually, her next goal should be to fight international talents. And considering the fact that it's between RIZIN, Combate Global, and Invicta that are the only places that showcase atomweight MMA, be it 105 or 108 pounds, do you think it's time for Seika to move up a division or move on from RIZIN?
Yeah, I hate that when they make them move up to an established division. My hot take is that super atomweight is one of the best divisions in the world and has been since that 2017 Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
Women's super atomweight is phenomenal. And if RIZIN was in the position that they are now to be able to attract more free agent signings and international talent like they've done lately in the men's division, imagine years ago they could have done that. They could have brought Michelle Watterson over to fight her. They could have brought Tisha Pennington over to fight her. They could have brought all those Invicta champions that UFC makes move up in weight for no reason at all.
When you come to think of it, they could have also bought Barb Konchak there.
Yeah. I don't want to get on a soapbox, but super atomweight is fire. And I don't like when a certain division is discluded. UFC signs Kayla Harrison, and now, she was able to make the bantamweight limit, but she fought in the higher weight classes before. They just didn't have those. If they'd continued those higher weight classes up till now, they would have relevant ranked fighters for her to fight. We talk about maybe potential future stars like Bellamir, Maya Lesnar. I know they're not like tenured MMA fighters yet, but let's say someday one of those girls wants to come over. There's no division ready for them. You can't have them fight a ranked fighter if you don't have rankings. So I'm a big believer of if you build it, they will come. If you build a division, then it'll get better, just like the RIZIN featherweight men's division did. But if you never start it and you exclude it, you're telling a lot of people, don't even try this sport. Don't even come this way because we don't want you. Take, for example, the football playoffs this year. The NFC South, the three teams at the top all had a losing record, 8-9. They were all sub 500. The Carolina Panthers made the playoffs at 8-9. What if the NFL said, we're just not going to have an NFC South anymore? There's only 28 teams in the league, and you know what? The NFC, only 6 teams are going to make the playoffs. Well, you wouldn't want to get drafted to any of those teams anymore. You'd feel like you're being discluded. So sometimes a division just has a weak couple years. You don't cut that whole division right out of the league. A few years might go by and NFC South might be strong again. AFC West might be weak again. These things just go and flow. So sometimes and you look at the UFC, for example, they base theirs on one case study only. They have this dug-in position. Women will never fight. And then it took one star, Ronda Rousey, and look what happened. They completely changed their tune. So who knows? One star, they might add an atomweight division. Dana White changes things at the drop of a hat, his long-term beliefs. So I think you need to have all of them, especially the fringe divisions. And if you have them for long enough, you'll attract more talent. You'll have the kids in high school who watch it and say, oh, I could do that, versus, oh, well, they'll never let me in my division. In Muay Thai, it's tough to see above 155 pounds even. Imagine if Pride had that, oh, well, Muay Thai doesn't have heavyweight. We're never going to have heavyweight or 205. You would have excluded a lot of the Western Hemisphere fighters. You would have excluded a lot of the big Nordic country fighters. You never would have had heavyweights in MMA, and look at how many great heavyweight fights we have, light heavyweight fights. Those divisions are, classic now. So I'm just never big on discluding a whole division. You never know when one division is just going to, all of a sudden, those years just get really good. But this has been a real consistent division, 108 or even 105 in the States. That's what a lot of women weigh. There's not a lot of Kayla Harrison women out there, especially in Asia. So this is one I think, I'd love to see her stick around. RIZIN has this federation mentality. So we think someone's invincible forever. Oh, Roberto Satoshi, he's never going to lose. He's defended 5 times in a row. And then, hey, somebody comes along and look what happens. So you don't know who's going to come up next out of Deep Jewels or one of the promotions that the federation is embedded with. So I think if they just continue those international signings, if they consider, continue maybe partnering with Combate, bringing their champ over, I think they can get her some good competition. It won't take too long to find somebody out there, or even run a contender Grand Prix or something to find some more contenders at super atomweight. But it's always going to be a great division. One of my favorites.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. When it comes down to Frank Mir's daughter, Bella, she's a natural flyweight at 125 pounds. There's no way you're going to get her to drop down 17 pounds just to fight. As far as Maya Lesnar goes, as far as Maya Lesnar, MYA, Lesnar, the daughter of Brock, she's gonna probably grow up to be a big man jammer. I think she's gonna probably be throwing people left, right, and center, suplex people. I just don't think that they are right about the fact it's diminished to one division just because nobody else can be a diminished group of men and women willing to fight just to basically prove that they belong. It wouldn't make sense for an entire league to just put down a division because it sucks. I mean, if that were the case, you would probably see the NBA do that with probably the Southeast Division.
Yeah.
Because every year, it's either the Magic or the Heat. You would probably see the NFL do that with the NFC South. You would probably see Major League Baseball do that with the National League Central. But still, though, point is when it comes down to, Seika Izawa, she's the best in the world at her weight for a reason. The best thing, even though, of course, you can't really get a lot of people flying out from other countries to Japan because, let's face it, not that easy to get a flight nowadays, especially when getting one costs an arm and leg. But I would say you should bring some of the better competitors in the world to her. That would give her the opportunity to, showcase herself against some of the better talent in the world.
Yeah, but there's still IBJJF still crowns a champion every year in every weight class. We all know super heavyweight isn't as stacked as lightweight, but they still run it. K1 now they just started doing women's divisions, women's Grand Prix. So I think with the federation mentality, the way they bring the kickboxing converts over, we'll get somebody eventually that'll give her a good challenge.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully that'll be sometime soon because let's face it, even though Seika is now only 26, he's not getting much older. I mean, there's a certain limit on how much her prime will get. Otherwise, if she keeps wasting that away fighting like Reina, who hadn't fought in over 2 years, basically, you're going to be wasting your prime on something else. Now, when it comes down to Reina Kubota, on the other hand, like I said, Homegirl hadn't fought in 2 years due to injury and added time off. I mean, you got to think. Homegirl's 34. She's done everything she could for the world of shoot boxing. She's done a hell of a lot of MMA in the 19 fights that had in RIZIN or under RIZIN competition. But I think that is that. What am I trying to add? You have to think that for her, that biological clock is starting to tick down, not really ticking down well.
I thought exactly that when I was breaking down my picks. And then she landed that lead left hook, and I was like, well, she might do it. She might get the knockout. So she's still got it, but you're right. One fight in 22, one fight in 23, 2 fights in 24, and then a year and a half off. She may be near the biological end of her prime. Don't let the homie Jay Wolf know we said that. But I still enjoy watching her. She came close to shocking the world. She still has it. I I just think the skill set wasn't there. Her ability to recover guard or to outposition a better grappler just wasn't there with her style, but she is a good striker. Kind of just depends what she wants to do. Does she want to stay in MMA? Or, are there other aspirations for her? But, she's the shoeboxing queen. She'll always draw a big crowd. She'll always get people behind her. She can still bang. So one thing, we talked about was RIZIN's kind of moving away from the novelty fights. There's no Floyd Mayweather. There's no standing rules. There's no freak show weight classes. This was all MMA, all divisional relevant MMA. If you can't beat good ranked fighters in MMA rules in your weight class, maybe some of the big RIZIN shows you're not going to make anymore. Maybe you get knocked down to landmark, or you got to go back to whatever league that the federation found you from. And maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe there's nothing wrong with her getting some fans for the next S Cup or whatever. But
come to think of it, she won like two boxing S Cups over her career. Think that she doesn't need to do any more of those.
Yeah.
But still, though, you talk about divisional relevancy. I think you referenced the Clever Koike Karamov fight earlier. Let's go ahead and get into that, because Koike, even at 38 years old, even at 36 years old, he's a time featherweight champion. It's proven that he still has catching. Defeated Vugar Karamov via. Really, I wouldn't say that much competitive, even though, of course, Karamov did hold his own. But still, though, you saying Clever Koike can be the number one contender to Roger Bali Shadula for the featherweight title, even though, of course, it was faced off against another. It was not a good night in the office for Koike. But still, though, with the fact that Clever came back off of this lose to Artura, I would say, soon do you think he'll get the title opportunity? You have to think, if Koike wins this fight, well, actually, if Koike ends up, fighting again, how long will it be before he gets the title opportunity?
It's weird because I thought it was a little bit early stoppage when he lost his belt to Sharayev. We've seen more since then. We know that guy's a killer. We know that same thing could probably happen again. But he wasn't really, he was complaining about it. So he wasn't really, I think, all the way mentally defeated. So I think just he can kind of hang his hat on that it could have been an early stoppage. He wants a rematch. In fact, he had history with both guys in the main event. So when he won, he got on the mic, called them both out. I think it was a smart thing for him to do. I would have liked to see him do more damage as opposed to just look for the submissions. He only really in the third round started looking for damage. And I thought Vugar did pretty well. He did probably as good as you can do with his skill set. He's not like a one-punch starcher. He wins a lot by submission himself, and he wasn't going to submit this guy. So maybe if they simulate this 100 times, he gets finished sometimes, and this is the most competitive that Vugar Karamov really is. But it was a fun fight. We got to see them go back and forth. It wasn't a brawl, but it was exchanging of techniques. It was very interesting getting him matched with somebody who could defend the submissions and prolong the fight a little bit and make it interesting. But I mean, man, if Vugar were to rematch Clever, or if you're one of his students who's going to go avenge him, and you're that coach from that team, what do you tell him? Like, how does your skill set even give you a chance in this exact style matchup? Damian Brown was saying he should look for more trips and takedowns that land past the guard and side control. But of course, that's easier said than done, because before you even start your takedown, Clever's looking for that half guard. He's pulling you can make it look like you got the takedown and get your 2 points in jiu-jitsu or whatever, but he's initiating that half guard pull or that guard pull and that lift. It's funny because it's exactly what I was thinking about that amateur high school tournament that opened the card. That some of the fighters didn't have the best positional awareness, and all the knocks I set against them that were kind of to their lack of experience. Clever's an anomaly. He does all that. He doesn't fight for position. He pulls guard. All the things your coach would yell at you not to do, but because he's such a specialist, because he really has that S rank with his jiu-jitsu, he can get away with it. So it makes him an exciting fighter, interesting fighter. And he's really durable. He's not one of these chinny BJJ guys like a Aoki type archetype or anything like that. He can take a punch. So maybe I'd like to see, one more time, can he give the champ a run for his money?
I mean, if he can give him a run for his money, he better hope he did last first round.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think. I think if Koike really wants to prove that he can hang with do a lot of in 1 round or less. In the 60 seconds, but still, the things words of hard to the point where he would make sure he would need to make sure that it finished. It as far as Powerhouse goes, I mean, it's like you said, he might get some of his students to eventually lost the Koike match with Shadulayev doesn't happen. But let's just say, Ugar Karma, what are you thinking about it?
Here's a question.
Huh?
When he lost the title to Suzuki, what was kind of with the up kick? Did you think that was kind of fluky or a one-off?
I mean, it wasn't that it was fluky. The fact that it was unique. If it was under side rules, that would have been disqualification. That would have been disqualification for Karamov.
Because could still be maybe would have still been the champion had he not lost to Suzuki. It's not like he went on a big losing streak. He went up in weight. That didn't work out for him. But
yeah, but he's 2-2 now in his last 4 losses, including that second title fight. Roberto. But still, the thing, him being split down the middle ain't bad. It's just the fact now without to go back. Am I right?
Yeah, if I'm his manager, maybe I'm looking for the Suzuki fight rematch to get him, the biggest name win that he can reasonably still beat.
I mean, that would make sense, especially considering the fact that a lot of people would still be looking forward to a fight between Karamov and Hero. A little bit more. This what you were talking about a little earlier, Yuya Fukuda knocking out Tatsuya Ando via right hook, head, 3 minutes, 2 seconds. Fukuda was called out by Costello. Danny Costello basically said, do you think that Fukuda would? I mean, I know that Fukuda with that finish probably earned himself a title shot. It's just a fact of when he's going to get that. You know, Fukuda doesn't get the problem. Oh my internet cuts off very often. Well, thankfully you'll be hearing the audio first. But still, though, I mean, hold on. I think. Uh, Let me see. Can you hear me better?
There we go. Yeah. You were cutting out there. Ray,
Yeah, I had to basically mute you because it was the noise on your end. But still, though, the point of the matter is when it comes down to Fukuda, how quick do you think that he'll get a title shot? Or as Ando goes, how quick do you think he'll get off the cutting room floor?
well, Sabatello needs him and 86 more guys to defend his title against. His goal of 87 defenses. And it was a smart call out by Sabatello because this guy's more of a striker, right? So, in theory, he probably thinks it plays better into his hand. And this is a guy that he can take down, probably control the whole fight without getting reversed as often as he did against Inoue. I think he didn't call out Inoue for a rematch because he knows he could lose to him. He probably did lose to him the first time. So, the two southpaws, they gave us a good fight, but sometimes two southpaws against each other can be tricky. He was able to land that lead hand jab and hook a lot, but he's going to have that right leg exposed a little bit. So I think that takedown's there. I did like how he called him out Max Holloway style, center of the ring for the finish. If RIZIN was smart, I think they would put him in more exciting matches. Let him kind of be that BMF featherweight because, yeah, he probably will get taken down. But that could be one of the title fights that we see early in, maybe the first half of the year.
I mean, are you sure? Well, actually, I wouldn't say are you sure about that. It's because, Sabatello is how he wants to defend his title so many times, it's hard to keep up. It's just that I don't know if that would be wise for Sabatello, even in his crazy ass mind, to think, I don't want to waste any time going into fight camp. I want to defend my title quick as possible.
I think so. Give Fukuda the least amount of time to work on his wrestling. You know what Sabatello's doing. The longer your camp is, you're going to game plan correctly for him. So
basically, what you're saying is that Sabatello would be suckering Fukuda into his trap.
Exactly. If I'm Sabatello's manager, I'm trying to get that fight later that same night. Give Fukuda no chance to do a camp, no chance to bring in wrestlers,
And you know what? I think the only person that would be excited about that, Jay Wolf, because he would say something along the lines of, you know what? Have this be a one-night epic tournament, have him face off against two challengers in one night, make him work for that money. Some stupid shit like that. But still, though, when it comes down to Ando, like I said, you wouldn't really do anything with him other than put him back on the chopping block, huh?
There's a lot of good featherweights right now. Unfortunately, I think he got passed by a couple of them tonight that got some wins. We haven't seen a featherweight Grand Prix since what? The Dream and Sengoku dual ones. Was that 2011?
I think it was 2010.
Okay, a long time ago. We could use a featherweight Grand Prix. So, I mean, if they need enough people, if they need 16 fighters, he could probably weasel his way in. Otherwise, it's a long road back, especially, coming off the finish loss.
Oh, yeah, of course. Now, considering the fact that we've gotten down to the halfway point of the card, I mean, I just gotta ask when it came down to the whole aspect of the excitement by this. I mean, I know that it was early on in the event, But did you think that, just off of watching the event, you were watching something special?
Yeah, absolutely. Couple of things I wish they would have maybe fixed with their player, with their technology, especially because they had to cut out a lot of the copyrighted music. Which, okay, whatever, I don't care.
Well, actually, you were watching the replay version of it. I was
Yeah.
watching it.
But I felt like the audio sync was even a little off. I would hear the announcer say something, or I'd hear the strike land right before I saw it, So a few things I wish they would do better, just technology wise. But they did an intermission actually right at this fight, and I thought it was pretty beautiful. They brought Pro Cop and Big Nog in the ring and celebrated what they had done, and uh, gave Crow Cop some props, and then Masanori Kanehara retired. They gave him some props. They brought in Hideo Tokoro, the same. And then they brought Yaman in. I don't know if you saw that. That was
Yeah,
tough.
it was basically crazy considering the fact that Ren Sugiyama, or Yama for short, was supposed to face off against Yutaka Saito, but he had that training injury, and it was just, I mean, just looking at that tube coming into his face, it was just crazy.
That was hard to see. He had a broken orbital, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
He's got tubes all over, and his eye doesn't look right. It looks like he has like a lazy eye still. It was really tough to see. And he's all dressed up in the suit. I mean, he looked great from the neck down, but it was a little bit difficult. And then they brought his original opponent, Saito, in the ring to I guess they're going to keep that match together, and they exchanged pleasantries. But it's tough to see him match up when his face was clearly that damaged. Uh, Tough to see, man. That's going to be maybe a long recovery. He's such an exciting fighter that we want to see him back, but I don't want to see him take any damage until and if he's 100%. If his eye never looks right again, I don't know if I'm going to feel okay if he fights and then gets hurt bad.
Yeah, of course. And is saying the orchestral music play outside of musicians were muted right after, because my Japanese friend complained that he started watching about an hour into the show, but by then the entrances were already muted. But still, though, when it came down to this point in the show, and I'm basically looking at this from two fronts. Ryan already got the rest of 2026 already down pat because they have two events scheduled like within the next 90 days, so to speak. You got RIZIN 52 taking place from the Yayake Tokyo. That'll be March the 6th. They already got four fights. That Victor Kalesnik versus Kazuki Moto, who's a deep fighter. The Wild Me versus Soya. Luis Killer Gustavo versus Taisei Sakuraba off of the Wanderlei Silva's protege versus Kazushi Sakuraba's Flesh and Blood angle. And you got Saori Oshima versus Kate Lotus Oyama, of which I'm definitely going to have a lot to say about that when the time comes. But you also have RIZIN Landmark 13 in Fukuoka taking place on April 11th. And you also have RIZIN New Year's Eve in Nagoya later this year. Much, much that this building is going to, I mean, that the Saitama Super Arena is going to be put up for renovation. But the thing I don't get, and this is where the whole Ariel Hawani thing comes in, is that you had Ariel Hawani talking mad shit about RIZIN, saying, oh, don't get the aura of the promotion when, if I recall correctly, RIZIN had more big shows over the last year that the UFC has filled up 16,000 seat arenas. Am I right?
Yes, but there's two fronts to that. UFC's been changing their business model to their more studio show with the Apex events.
Hmm.
That's a choice they're making. I don't know if I agree with it. You know, sometimes certain fights I think deserve a live audience. Uh, but on the other hand, they are kind of limited. A lot of U.S. arenas, what's the biggest arena? It's the basketball, hockey slash concert arena in your city, and those usually cap out at 20,000 people. So it's kind of just the infrastructure and the spread out nature of North America. You're going to be really pressed for logistics to do like a outdoor stadium show like Cowboy Stadium, and then it better have a dome because what if it rains? So I think they are limited, unless they go to Australia to get those big 50, 60,000 person venues. If they're in the States domestically, what is it called? T-Mobile Arena in Vegas.
Yeah, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
We get around 20,000 people because that's just simply the size of it. So geographics and those physical limitations, they matter a little bit. But if you're a fighter, why would you not want to fight on these incredible shows with all these eyes on you? And if I'm selling sponsorships, do I want to tell my potential sponsor, hey, there's going to be 60,000, 70,000 people live, plus all the people getting it broadcast? Or I want to say, hey, this is going to be in some empty TV studio with my mom watching me from the bleachers.
I mean, in a way, you would much rather want to fight in front of 50,000, well, damn near 50,000 people. Like I said, 45,000, 43 people were there on New Year's Eve for RIZIN. I would much fight in front of that crowd, being nervous as all hell, being creative as all hell, rather than fighting in front of a soulless lot of 100 people where I'm just basically forced to rock company gear just because. Come on. It's an easy choice. I just don't see why Ariel Hawani did. Oh, because RIZIN is in Japan and they don't have much aura compared to Pride. They're not getting covered here. I mean, it's just stupid what Ariel Hawani said. And I will, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, I will link you exactly to what the idiot said on Facebook. Well, actually, on Twitter in the description of this podcast. But I'm gonna go ahead and say, if Ariel didn't have his schnauzer too far up Paul or Dana White's rectum, so deep that he basically smelled what they had for breakfast and he would know what true showmanship and true excitement is when it comes down to promotion right? Instead of soulless carriers known as the UFC or even Misfits or most valuable promotion. I mean,
Do you
dude,
think he really like watches all those shows? Like he watches the big KSW outdoor show, and then, or you
I
think he
mean,
just says stuff to get a reaction?
if he did, he would have had a crack team, aside from him in either Montreal or New York City, watching all this shit for him, just that he would have a better opinion about the world of MMA and maybe the world of boxing. Other than, let's see what the UFC is doing this weekend. No, let's see what Jake Paul has in store. No, let's see what type of bullshit we can get involved in that can get us clicks and get.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean, just saying, if Ariel Hawani had more of a acquired taste for the world of MMA, his worldview, knowing that he least to give in the world of fight. But that's all I respect Ariel Hawani fight sports journalist, even though I've been doing this podcast a bit longer than he has. I've been doing this for 13 years, but still, the point of the matter is when it comes down to Ariel Helwani, he may be a respected fight journalist, but his opinions really suck balls.
He
Playing,
seems to have changed a lot, when he got that big deal. Because remember how poorly Dana treated him?
I remember, and we all felt sorry.
Mm-hmm. We all stuck up for him, and then just to see where he's at now, trashing certain leagues or trashing fighters, and you could tell he's pushing the things that make the money, which I get, but he's definitely not an investigative journalist anymore.
Oh yeah, of course he was. I mean, I knew that from the when Kareem Zidane started doing more, reports that he
Give that man his Pulitzer.
had. Yeah, and the Peabody as well.
Yes, the best. Kareem Zidane's the best.
Yeah, still though, Ariel Helwani, he may be a respected journalist. Sometimes his opinions just don't matter when it comes down to the broad spectrum of fight sports. And that's all that needs to be said on that. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get back to the fight card. That would be, to kick us off, Kiyoma Aimoto, 19 years young, knocking out Suguru Ni, Andrew Benjamin's favorite fighter. 3 minutes, 44 seconds, knee to the body. Kid's only 19 years old. He has a lot of upside going on for him. And, college kids these days, I mean, especially in sports, is all schedule. Akimoto, he's 6-1 in RIZIN, he has a damn good strength of schedule. But do you think that he can always look up?
Yeah, I've been impressed with this kid, man. Boss Rutan would have been impressed.
Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang. Liver kick.
Liver. Lee was supposed to fight Juan Archuleta, who's a tough out himself. And this kid took the fight short notice, no problem. I think it was rumored he had a broken nose as well. I just didn't care.
I mean, he's young, dumb, and full of ambition. I'm pretty sure the broken nose was the least of his worries.
Yeah. His pressure was so good. Lee had some good skills. He would rush with punches. He would shoot takedowns, but he would never do them both at once. He would never really set up his takedowns with the strike, so he was forced to stand the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And just, he's got a tough strength of schedule, but I think this was really the coming out party for Akimoto. And like I said, fingers crossed they do a featherweight Grand Prix. Maybe this kid could hop in it. But even if they just continue to just keep the division moving, he's going to be a great addition to this division.
Oh, yeah. And if he doesn't get a championship soon, which wouldn't make sense for him being 19 years old with all that, I can definitely see him being a force in his early 20s. That much is for sure. Now, what about Suguru Ni? I mean, the dude was supposed to face off against Juan Archuleta in what would have been an easy fight for Juan, but because Juan had issues with visas, obviously when it comes down to this country nowadays, you can't even really get out the country or come into the country without shit happening. So, hopefully things change soon. But still, though, when it comes down to Suguru Ni, this is his 4th consecutive loss in a row. I mean, do you think that? I mean, he's the current featherweight king of Pancrase. Do you think that he's Pancrase instead of wasting his time in RIZIN if he's full performances?
He could, he could go back to Pancrase. He could get downgraded maybe to like those landmark shows. One thing I noticed in my notes here is that they offered the knee fight to Saito when
Hmm.
Yaman was out, and Saito turned him down.
Wow.
You'd think Saito would be the favorite in that one, right? So maybe if Yaman still needs a lot of time to recover, they might make that. I'm kind of surprised Saito didn't. If I'm Saito's manager, that's one that I'm jumping all over because you got to get your guy some wins, build him back up. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's fighters who don't want to fight him, and it's either fight at a low level or fight somebody really good because everybody in the middle is saying no. We never really know what's going on behind the scenes, but uh, yeah, Akamoto put him on blast, man. He straight up said it was a bitch move to turn him down. He called out Saito himself, so all kinds of possibilities in this featherweight division for some matches. They could talk a little bit of smack.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, like I said, Akimoto's got a future ahead. Just as long as he doesn't get a title shot too early. I mean, I do think that when it comes down to Akimoto's potential, it's like you said, he's 19 years old. He's got a lot of upside. I mean, I can only hope he's wise, you know? Now, when it comes down to our next fight, it was disappointing to see how this ended, even inside of round one, because I really thought Karshiga Doubtbeck was about to finish off the sniper Yuta Kubo. Instead, the fight ended in a no contest about halfway through the first round due to an accidental eye poke. So it kind of screwed things up as far as the fight. Doubtbeck is now 16-3-1. Well, Doubtbeck is now 18-3-1. Yuta Kubo is now 5-2 with one artist. But when it comes to this particular fight, Outback versus Kubo, what were your overall thoughts this played out?
Um, we hadn't seen the former K1 champion Yuta Kubo since last year when he got
Mhm.
steamrolled. Um, I was kind of expecting something similar just because he's not a great grappler. But we had the kickboxing champion versus the Kazakh boxing champion. Uh, I see on paper why they made it. Uh, I thought Kubo was giving us they were standing and banging, and he was landing the low kicks, looking for the Thai plum. That's where he got him. I think he was looking for that clinch. And he, was going for the back of the head control, and I think that's where he poked him. Uh, I thought he did way better than expected. I was expecting him to get run over. I was expecting him to kind of get disappointed. I was a big Yuta Kubo fan watching K1
Mhm.
pirating the Japanese broadcast that I couldn't understand at all. And I've learned a lot about this guy. I guess is kind of famous because of his ex-wife, and there is almost no English language information on this. You got to explain this to me. The ex-wife singer. Did he get a domestic violence charge? What's going on with this guy?
Oh, I think in that case he did get a domestic violence charge. And to be honest, the details are too disturbing even for me to be talking about them. It's just the fact it came down to Yuta. He treated his wife like shit, but his wife still loved him.
Is that the singer? Is that the same
Yeah,
ex-wife?
him ex-wife.
Okay, I see other people because he's cool with his ex-wife still. I guess they still do business together. And I didn't know if some fans didn't like that about him or if it was his criminal thing. I wasn't really sure. I never knew that. I'd always watched his style uh, in K1, and I really liked it. That striking style. He's translated a little bit better than I thought. He lost his debut in MMA to the Olympic wrestler. Uh, but when you look at it now, he's actually lasted one of the longest against the champ. He
Hmm.
might not really have any ground game just based on his toughness alone. So I don't know how I feel about him really as a person anymore, but his abilities as a fighter and his toughness, he's translated really well. Had he made that crossover sooner, because he's kind of older now in his late 30s, he might have been one of those crossovers that like Contender Series might have tried to pick up, because he has adapted pretty well, put on a win streak in MMA that I never saw coming, being such a long-term kickboxer. Um, but yeah, a lot of weird stuff around this guy. I see why they made the fight. Sometimes two southpaws again can be weird. People hate fighting southpaws. I'm a southpaw fan all the time. People hate sparring southpaws. They hate fighting southpaws. Even other southpaws hate that. But
And of course, Takashi is saying, no, I've heard there was a different woman saying, and a one domestic violence incident. So apparently it wasn't Sarah Kubo that ended up getting attacked.
he has multiple pop singer exes.
I think so.
This guy, man. Like, I don't know. So yeah, English language. There's almost nothing about this guy. So the RIZIN Confession series is so powerful. I'd like to see them maybe take that effort and take it worldwide and educate the fans and get all the fans hyped for all their shows. Maybe with some of their marketing moving forward for all their fights.
I agree they need to, but there's so much that Shingo Kashiwagi, Hafiz Darbaki can do when it comes to you can't just rely on me. You can't just rely on Andrew Benjamin to give you all the need to know when it comes down to it can't be just those two either. We need full blown, you know, foreign front, so to speak, just to basically put some of this over.
Mm-hmm.
And, at least the singer was only Sarah.
Oh.
I mean, so it wasn't Sarah Kubo.
I have here two that I was actually surprised when Victor Kolesnik got the title shot. I was expecting Delbeck to be closer. So I don't know if RIZIN doesn't consider him to maybe be a top contender. Obviously, the way this one ended, he's not getting a title shot next, which is fine because the top of the division's a little bit muddy right now. But I still saw him as kind of close. I thought if he ran over Kubo the way some people were expecting him to, he could be eyeing a title shot against the champ.
I mean, come to think of it, could you potentially see a rematch between these two happen?
You have to. You have to now because Kubo did better than expected. And it was exciting. He was throwing those low kicks. So I'm actually more excited to see a rematch than I was at first. I was expecting him to just get run over the first time. So if they rematched, I'd tune in to watch it.
Oh, yeah, of course. And Takashi is now implying the details. Sarah and Yuta seem to be separated. According to Yuta, Sarah will not come to any more RIZIN shows. Kubo also said that Sarah is doing some business work, and she's busy, but they still contact each other about taking care of their kids. So at least there's something out of that.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes down to the flyweight fight that you were talking about earlier, Makoto Shinryu Takahashi, and yes, I call him by his full name, he defeated Hiroya Kondo earlier on in the evening via unanimous decision in the 57.5 kilo, 126-pound fight. And in the case of Kondo, Hiroya, this was his first fight where he didn't have Billy Bigelow by his side because Bigelow had to tend to some family issues back stateside. So he was not made available for Kubo's side. If he did, he would have probably told Hiroya the same thing that he told him after he lost it. Right, Flyweight Grand Prix. You're gonna be a champion one day. It just takes time.
Yeah.
But still, though, speaking of championships and taking time, you did imply that Shin Ryu should face off against Hiromasa Gikubo next. Do you think that it'll only be a matter of time before we see her belt put around Shin Ryu's waist?
So, I mean, first, did he remind you a little bit of GSP?
Mm-hmm.
Like his whole style, his striking, the way he goes into takedowns. I thought I was watching a little GSP there.
I mean, if anything, he like the lucha slash pure wrestle style version of George St. Pierre. Especially considering the fact that he came out dressed up like Ultimo Dragon, little, so to speak, but he has his own little flair to it, he has his own little resilience. But still, the point is, I do think that I see a lot of Makoto Shinryu in his fight style. I think that even though he's 25 years old, he's still got a lot of upside here. At least I think.
Yeah, both these guys came out in great shape, great conditioning. They were both really well prepared. Uh, they both were in the Grand Prix this year. They both actually were put out of the tournament by the same guy, Yuki Motoya. Hiroya lost in the first round. Shiryu defeated the bad man, Urson Yamamoto. But then in the second round, was defeated. So he would still have to take the belt away from the champion, Okikubo, which is easier said than done. It seems like he's pretty motivated to be the face of the RIZIN flyweight division. So I say give him the shot, but I won't favor him to win.
I see. Now, when it comes down to Hiroya, I posed this question in the preview version of the podcast, but I'm going to pose this question here. Now that Hiroya is 11-15-1, and he's 27 years old, do you think it might come a time for Hiroya just put down the gloves and quit? Decipher if he even wants to do this anymore? Or you think it'll only be a matter of time before Hiroya his career changes up his style and just try and find some ways to win every once in a while?
Of course, we know he's going to be a champion. It's just going to take time. The crowd popped for him. They didn't care about his record. They went nuts for this guy. So if I'm RIZIN, I'm bringing a bunch of terrible fighters in for him to fight. Why not? I don't know. Why not get him some wins? Get the crowd hyped. They love this guy. He looks like he takes his training and his conditioning seriously. If there's one place where your record kind of doesn't matter and you can still be a fan favorite, take Hideo Tokoro, for instance. Japan's the one place. So I like him. I'd watch him again. I don't really care what his record is. Plus, all these guys have all these, these old fights, old draws on their record from weird promotions. I think in Japan, maybe they're the one place that's a little bit more forgiving of that. So as long as he still puts butts in seats, yeah, somebody's going to bring him out. Maybe that's what the Landmark and some of the other leagues in the Federation are for. But hearing all those people pop for him, man, he's still has it, I think.
Oh, yeah, of course he does. I mean, again, the dude's only 27. He still has a lot left to look forward to. I mean, I just hope that when it comes down to his career, that Billy Bigelow is continuing to teach him, that there's more to life than wins and losses. He at least needs to continue to grow.
I'll say the good thing about losing at flyweight, or the way he lost, getting kind of taken down and controlled, is he wasn't getting wrecked. If you lose that many times at like heavyweight, you're not going to be able to spell your own name. So At least I feel like he's got the martial arts skills to defend himself and preserve himself to where he's not going to be a ninja hua or, going out in his last fight like Asakura did.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. But again, hopefully Roya can learn over time this sport. It can either make you or break you, and hopefully it'll make him more than it'll. Now, when it comes down to this next fight, Joe Soto defeated Shorty Torres split decision. Of course, I know it was a split decision because Torres fought back. I mean, especially if you're coming out to a song from the Don to Don OST, you gotta fight your ass off. But still, though, when it came down to Torres, he at least tried to make the fight interesting. That the Goto had upper hand every turn. I mean, I almost thought he was going to submit the guy again. But still, though, when it comes down to Torres, and I know it's not really wise of me to talk about the loser first rather than the winner, but Torres is now riding a 3-fight losing, a decision loss in Brave, a decision loss in each of the last 2 RIZIN fights, including losing to the eventual champion Hiromasu Kubo in the flyweight Grand Prix. I mean, Torres enjoys a lot more than he's fighting. But do you think that he's going to have to make a career alteration? Because if he wants to Brave taking any more L's.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I was saying I like Torres better at flyweight. Uh, they mentioned that he just didn't really have the gas tank. Well, in this fight in round 3, I felt like he didn't really wasn't able to push the pace or do much from top position either at bantamweight. So could have just been the tough opponent. We know Goto's a great grappler. He got 2 twisters in a row at one point in RIZIN. So he can grapple. He can hold his own on the ground. But I just I've always liked Torres a little bit better at flyweight. I just feel like he's got great coaches. He's got a great team. He had Dean Thomas in his corner telling him to calf kick. He just didn't listen to him enough. When he was on the ground, he didn't really listen. He was just trying to smother him. And in RIZIN, that's not how you bank around. You got to do the damage. His style's definitely more of the Western style. It's weird that he went 1-1 in UFC and they cut him. Then he beat Amir Albazi and they just weren't interested. I don't know if it's sometimes UFC has some personal things they let get in the way. They don't like a certain guy.
I think when it came down to that, he was the unfortunate victim of the flyweight purge at the
time. Yeah, so I was surprised. Again, another guy I'm surprised they didn't take, but that was RIZIN's benefit. He's got all the connects, he could go back and try to win. He was like a double champ or something in the States. So, I mean, he could go back and pick up some wins and pick up some wins closer to home before those long travel. I think going to Japan from the States, regardless of your weight class, you're going to feel that jet lag. You're going to feel not 100% on your conditioning that if you were fighting at home.
Mm-hmm.
You have. I mean, it's what happens. You're fighting a tough fighter too. That can make a difference. So, I still like watching the guy fight, but I think his coaches were a little bit disappointed that he didn't stick 100% to the game plan this time, for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, of course. And I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't say that coming into Japan is a distraction, but then again, the dude, as I've seen on his Instagram account, he enjoyed more the time outside the ring than he did inside.
Any long flight.
And that's not a knock on him, because there's a lot of shit you can do outside of the States where you can enjoy being able to fill that passport. But still, he needs to get back on the ball a little. I mean, I interviewed the guy. Hope the dude can continue to get well, but I do think that he needs to focus more on skills rather than seeing what fresh kicks he can get or what fresh.
Yeah, especially with that. I mean, Japan, Korea, China, Australia, you travel that far, it's going to affect you, you know? Um, so we're seeing, uh, the nutritionists playing a bigger role in MMA these days. Uh, some of the trainers outside of the skill trainers used to just be your striking coach. Like, you had your MMA gym, and then they'd go work with Henry Hooft for a minute, and this guy's got a lot better. Now it's way different. Your strength and conditioning matters. Every little thing matters. Your nutrition matters. So could be that he was just the out of town fighter traveling that far. Maybe he's got to go a little bit sooner to Japan and stay there a little longer, but that can be expensive, right? So it'll be interesting to see this year if he competes a little bit locally. Picks up some wins, how he's looking. Even Brave's in the Middle East. That's another long way to go. So he might look good in Las Vegas, but internationally not have that same pep to his step.
I mean, but then again, we'll see where he goes next after all of this. I just feel bad that Torres is spending more time caring about what kicks he can take back to the States rather than knowing just what kicks he can take back to the States, but what type of anime figures he can bring back to the States rather than what type of wins he can put on his record. Now, as far as Choji Goto goes, dude's riding a 4-fight win streak. 2 knockouts, 2 decisions. What's next for him?
He's another one of those surging bantamweight contenders. Like I said, those 2 divisions are so hot right now, bantamweight and featherweight. Yeah, he's on his way up for sure. He showed a lot of good striking. He can finish with the submission. He can finish with the strikes. I like this guy. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some more of him.
I mean, I hope so too. I hope to see more of him as well because it'll only be a matter of time before he does get the opportunity to. Now, another fight I wanted to talk about. Did you see Tatsuki Shinoda knock out Daichi Tomigawa? Yeah. You see Tatsuki Shinoda could get that knockout over Daichi.
I don't think I've been excited for like an 0-1 MMA fighter like that, in a long time. Since like Brock Lesnar era, he came in with a good striking background, some pro boxing, kickboxing experience. He's 5'9", but he's a flyweight, so he fights real long. He's got a great jab and great straight punches. He's known for his jab, but that straight right. I reviewed actually, because this fight's been a grudge match. 2 years in the making? They fought 2 years ago in striking.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year they were part of that prelim where they had like a team, like a 7 team battle.
What you're talking about. They were thrown together at the last minute because Ryan Garcia's crazy.
That's right.
To cause the entire card to get rid of a boxing exhibition.
Yeah, I'm glad they're moving away from that kind of stuff. But when they separated them into the teams, they both knocked each other's teammate out last year. I don't know if it was their real teammate, like their homie they actually trained with, or if they were just kind of fantasy drafted on the teams. I tried to look up what gyms they were from, and I couldn't find any connection. But they were on opposite teams. Both got the win over each other's teammate, a knockout finish. Tamazawa got that knee KO. Shinotsuka was actually in like a modified striking match, just kept jabbing the guy until he fell down 3 times. He called him out. He runs in the ring. They face off head to head. It was pretty cool. I didn't think it would take a whole 12 months to make the fight. we saw Shinatsuka actually make his debut in MMA in May. He was unsuccessful. Um, but on the mic, he said he loves it.
Mhm.
MMA very good. So he's gonna, I guess, stick with it. I love seeing the use of the jab, the use of the technical striking. Um, so yeah, give me more of this guy in MMA. That might have been like the only ground and pound he's ever thrown to finish that fight, but give me
And I
more.
mean, to be honest, you have to give Shinotsuka credit. Dude's a straight up striker. He boxed. He's done bare knuckle boxing. He's done kickboxing. So, dude just taking this like a sponge to water, even though he lost to Hiroya Khan first fight, he's definitely more than held his own after taking Daichi Tomizawa into the next dimension.
Yeah, bring him over on loan for the next King of Sparta tournament. He's made for that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of Rising fans would want to see boxing, kickboxing, and MMA in one night. But still, though, you got to look at Tomizawa on the other hand. He knocked out Kota Miura in a highlight reel KO 2 years ago. Well, a year plus ago now. Then he had mixed results. A strength submission loss to Ersin Yamamoto, a decision win over Ren Hiramoto's little brother Joe, and obviously this loss to Ty. So you have to think now, even though the dude is 28 years old, even though he's a former K1 champion or K1 Crush champion, you have to think what's next for him in a way that he can at least stay busy. Well, actually, not stay busy, but stay relevant.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing them weed out which of these kickboxing crossovers can adapt. And if you can, you got the chance to be a star. And if you can't, it might be rough for you. So if I was his corner man or his manager, I would maybe want to see him get some wins, some confidence, some experience, maybe outside of Ryzen before he tries to come back.
Hmm. Right, of course. Speaking of getting some experience outside of Rising, I think Bay Noah needs to continue to go fight in the LFA. Because him coming back off of a 4 fight winning streak and after 18 months away from Rising, it just wasn't cut when he got knocked the hell out by Tatsuya Yambo Saika. 32 seconds, round two, head kick, knockout. And you have to think, it was really upsetting for Bay Noah to take this fight after it was already pre-planned that he was going to fight Ilka Azimov, but of course, Shunta Nomura turning his leg into a broken puzzle happened. So, you know, I just got to ask, was Bay Noah really that serious in taking this fight?
Could you imagine if that was Nazimov?
I can't. I can't.
Would have put in a body bag. Uh, I'll say this though, Yambo had what 19, and this was his 20th pro fight, and only one of them's ever gone to decision. This guy lives and dies by the sword, man. He pressured. He's 0-3 in Ryzen. He came out like he was 3-0. He had all the confidence. He had all the forward pressure, and that's how you have to fight a striker like this. Just kept coming forward, not giving him any ground. Just kept throwing. I thought his game plan and his approach to smother him with heavy punches was a good for his skill set. Was he really operated the best he could have. I was pretty impressed. And then he was all hands, and then surprised him with the head kick. He wasn't spamming the head kick or showing it early. He kind of threw what might have been a headbutt at some point. I can't say it's intentional. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because they were kind of jockeying for position. I was actually impressed with the Black Panthers' recent run. His kickboxing style, his power translated pretty nice. He got that knockout over Cedric Manhoff. He defeated, I don't know if it was 100% Johnny Case, but he still got the win over him. he was looking good, man. I think the Nazimov fight was kind of the proof that they're giving him high risk, high reward. They want to see if they can push him.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. It's what we agreed upon. If Nazimov were to have faced off against Noah, that would have been a hell of a lot less than one round. That would have been a hell of a lot less than 2 rounds, let alone one. It would have been 30 seconds of round 1 instead of 30 seconds of round 2 at the finish.
Yeah.
But still, though, you have to give Yambo credit. I mean, he's the lightweight king of pancration. Came off of a knockout loss to somebody who also has brilliant upside in his future in Nurkan Zamagasi some 5 weeks earlier. He came off of the fact that he took a loss so quick that it made him rethink his choice. To think about this, Tyson came in on a late notice, and before late notice means nothing if you don't come prepared. But still, though, I mean, I think that he continues to fight. He might be a force in Ryan if given the opportunity, or Pat Tracy.
I think we'll learn. The question now is, was it just a bad night for Black Panther Noah? Did he not live up to it? Or are we seeing Yambo kind of turn the corner? And I think we won't know that answer till we see them both fight a couple more times.
Of course. At least I hope so. For Noah's sake, he can always go back home to Southern California. I mean, the dude did well in those 2 fights in the LFA. I mean, he can always go back home to SoCal. He can always travel up to NorCal to train at American Kickboxing Academy. And he can always be welcome there. Just the fact that he needs to at least take a break, continue to take a break from RIZIN, just to at least sharpen his skills. I mean, I at least want to be able to see the man fight on TV one of these days because the LFA just signed a deal with Vice. So that would be something for him. I mean, that would be something for my eyes to see him fighting on national TV here. But still, though, one more fight I want to basically talk about because we already talked about the amateur fight, and let's face it, unless one of those guys turn pro, it ain't really worth talking about. My apology. But when it comes down to this particular fight that we're about to talk about last, I just gotta ask, you being a fighter yourself, if you were to ever come up to Japan, would you ever turn down the opportunity of Lenny Hart introducing you?
No, of course not. Did someone actually turn that down?
Yes. And it was Ryusei Catfish Hashizawa.
That was a choice he made. Well, I didn't know that.
No, it was definitely a choice, Dean. It was definitely a choice because he made his way to the ring, but basically told Lenny Hart and company, hey, I don't want you to introduce me because I want the fans to listen to my new music.
Jeez. Was it something he made himself that he thinks he's
Yeah, it was. I mean, I got the damn list of songs. I got down music along with a guy in Japan named Mickey K. We jot down entrance music for just about every damn fighter on a given RIZIN card, but still, though, the fact that this dude would rather not get a legend like Lenny Hart to introduce him, and instead choose to take an armbar submission loss by a guy who only had 2 fights long before he even thought about getting into breaking down is beyond me.
I liked his visual. I always liked the psychedelic fish going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lenny Hart's a perfect compliment for that. Like they don't go against each other. I like his entrance. Yeah, could have been better. I love Jolly's chest tat. Reminds me, did you play Shadowrun for the Super Nintendo?
I considering the fact that I'm only in my early 30s and my first true instinct of playing a video was on the PS2. I've never played that game before.
Okay, well, the logo is pretty sweet. It's like a dragon skull or something. It actually looks really similar to his chest hat. Uh, so I always root for the guys, Fukuda, Jolly, guys with the cool chest hats. I gotta support because they're really in it. In Asia, it's not as acceptable. So you gotta go hard with your career and be kind of self-made and be an entrepreneur if you got tattoos. Jolly's not gonna open a daycare or insurance agency in Japan with tattoos like that. So he's in it for the long haul.
I mean, come to think of it, Ryoma Shishimoto, otherwise known as Jolly, he probably wouldn't even be shown on most television in Japan because of the fact that
But he's legit. He's legit a bad dude. They were talking about it. These guys actually got into it at the weigh-ins. I got a little bit hyped for this fight. I feel like some of these early prelims, they can sort of, especially the one they did last year, they get these guys that would be good, like popular from Breaking Down or from that kind of an audience or demographic that likes to watch stuff like that. Reminds me a little bit of a league we saw here. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was a striking or boxing league here in the States, and they would really bring amateur, like blue collar people in and be like gas station attendant versus fast food worker. They'd really bill it like that to try to get new fans. Oh, I wonder who would win. And I get that. I know people, I have friends that were more intrigued by that type of marketing.
Wait a minute. Was it similar to Street Beefs or was it similar to Bully?
It's called like Rough and Tough or something stupid like that. Rough and Rowdy. I don't know.
Rough and Rowdy. The people over at Barstool Sports ended up buying it out.
That's right. I applied. They told me to get lost. But
yeah. Now you can go ahead and tell them to go fuck themselves because they don't do the shows anymore.
But I think Breaking Down has a little bit of that style marketing to it. I think they kind of like those guys like that. You're bringing in people that went and saw this guy play his crappy music versus, MMA fans, they got so many choices for the MMA fighter to watch. I don't know. It's kind of like throwing the darts at some more. Where can we get some more fans from non-traditional ways? Was it better or worse than G and a Gi?
Was it better or worse than what?
Have you heard G and a Gi?
I don't think I need to hear that.
You've never heard it?
Oh my god. I mean, if anything, I listen to a lot of obscure ass music myself, but that's only because I'm a sucker for chopped and screwed Texas rap and for some crazy reason Japanese pop or Japanese rock like X Japan and shit like that. But still though, I don't think I've ever heard of G and a Gi.
Your mind. Halleck Gracie recorded this.
But still, though,
I'm going to send it to you. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
I'll listen to it once we're done with the podcast. But still, though, point of the matter, when it comes down to Mr. Shishimoto, Jolly, I mean, the dude hadn't had a fight in a good number of time before this fight happened. Do you think that he says he wants to continue fighting in RIZIN after this. He wants to introduce himself to being a big-time star. He fought Yasuhiro Kato in the world of Shudo and as an amateur, but still, the point of the matter is, when it comes down to Jolly, do you think that his future definitely lies in RIZIN?
Jolly, I'd like to roll with him. it looked like he botched the takedown, but he might have been trying to pull that half guard setup because he went right for the knee bar.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt that Ashizawa didn't have the hips and didn't have the top pressure that when someone who looks for subs is under him, they can beat him. His ground game didn't look as good. Jolly being a good striker, being a pretty tough dude, and then showing this transition from leg locks to arm locks, I was actually pretty excited. I would like to watch Jolly and RIZIN some more. Ashizawa, I don't think his well-roundedness is there. I think he's too concerned with being a popular figure. Maybe some of those more, can the gas station attendant last a minute with him in a street cell phone video might be a better way for him to get virally popular because guys in RIZIN are going to beat the brakes off him. He just doesn't have the hips, doesn't have the awareness on the ground.
Guys in RIZIN ain't just going to beat the brakes off of him. They'll beat the whole damn car off of him.
Yeah, tap into an armbar might have been the best way this could have gone for.
Oh, yeah, of course. But still, though, I do hope to see more of John in the ring or cage. I mean, I just hope that when it comes down to, him, that it will not be 7 years before he gets another opportunity to fight again. Yeah. I mean, give him 7 months, and then I'll be happy. But still, though, all in all, when it came down to this entire fight card, what were your overall thoughts about it now that we pretty much concluded talking about
it? I thought it was a really good card. It had that big festival feel, had all the production and aesthetics. One fight was a no contest, kind of disappointed, but we got to see a lot of finishes. We got to see one superior rule set finish, a couple other attempts. The ones that went the decision were not boring. They were very competitive. They were fun to watch. So I thought the fighters really delivered, even though that can go either way as a matchmaker. Sometimes it works perfect. Sometimes it blows up. But they loaded it up with the title fights. It ended up kind of being the perfect. It was a long one, but for their big year-end show, I thought it was really perfect. To see the crowd behind so many Japanese fighters made me feel real strong that, okay, they're in a better position. It was tough sometimes watching some of those leagues like Dream struggle and to enjoy the event, but to know that it's kind of terminal on a timeline. So I hope this was, speaking well for their financial future. I hope they continue to establish a worldwide presence. They're recruiting well from Central Asia and from mainland Asia, but I don't really know the stats on their viewership, their marketing, their TV deals. Were people in Baku going nuts watching this on TV, or was it impossible to find, like trying to find a K1 tournament if you live in the States? So I would like to see. I'd like to see RIZIN just spread their word a little bit more. Even trying to find that high school tournament so I could predict the winner. They didn't release it until after the show, and not that it would have got people super hyped for it, but they're focused on their domestic operations. They're recruiting good domestic talent. I can't hate on that. I hope we get to see another strong year. I'm all about the year-long Grand Prix, either every year, every other year. The way Pride kind of had the vision to keep doing them. I'd love to see a featherweight Grand Prix, but if not, featherweight and bantamweight, really hot right now in Japan. Really strong, speaks to the strength, so I'm excited for it.
I see. And that would disqualify me from asking what are some things you hope to see Pride this coming year, but I guess I can go that the show was incredible, with the exception of the iPod and maybe the exception of Sabbath over, which kind of ruined the mood because I was really pissed about that. But still, I think what I'm looking forward to after here is that there is no Bellator MMA to look at. The PFL is going down the drain. Well, they are circling the drain because WWA is making it difficult for the promotion because he only wants to put himself over rather than the fight promotion. And of course, Dana wants to put over his newfound boxing operation that did forever treating the UFC like his personal plaything. I think the time for RIZIN to be the solid number two promotion in the world is now. And I think that three things that RIZIN would need to do. One would probably be to focus more on the weight classes that they do have instead of trying to put over the ones that don't. Because let's face it, you can probably agree with me. This flyweight Grand Prix was leaps and bounds better than the Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah, Jay Wolf would probably get mad at me and say, "No, why are you pissed off about the flyweight Grand Prix? Because it was full of. That's why it's so."
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, it would be best to focus on building the division state. Really focus on always been a fight. Yes, bring in Ryan Bader versus or Born Slog for Sodak. So yeah, just think about the division you have. Next would probably be, like you said, distribution. I mean, yeah, Rising TV is doing well, folks here in the States like us.
Yeah.
But remember, part of the world that actually want to see options for their favorite fighters, them to the things in prison, especially if they're Australian. So, you might want to think about doing something big as far as this, just to get more eyeballs on the promotion as possible. And I think the third and final thing I would say is that we've already seen two events get announced for Rock so far this year. A third, if you count the New Year's Eve card that happened at Goya later this year, but that's a story for the time. Still, even though Rising trouble opponents from America, Europe, especially considering the World Cup and World Baseball last season as well, you're not gonna get that many people wanting to come out or go to, the States or Europe or anything like that. You're gonna have to find a way to you got to boost yourself, put yourself over market wise. I'm trying to go full blown UFC marketing stuff. You probably remember before they had Carmen Electra try to put over their product, but still, what Ryan can do is a full blown, share it out to not just personalities that care about this shit like me, but to those who would actually want something more than just another boring fight. If you can get that to the masses, then it would be really good just to put over the promotion in due time.
Yeah. I just had a thought. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that that movie Smashing Machine came out in 2025,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
and obviously was big. Referenced the Pride 2000 Grand Prix. I'm wondering, did that have any presence? Maybe one of our friends in the chat can tell us if that made it to Japan, if it even got translated. I was just thinking, Ryan Bader, didn't he play Coleman in the movie? Was he the actor?
Ryan Bader played Mark the Hammer Coleman in the movie, and I think I've seen an advertisement like a few weeks ago from The Rock, basically putting over that Smashing Machine movie is in Japanese cinema.
Okay. You know what's interesting is it's still not out. I looked at it to see if that's like a possible Christmas gift. Doesn't come out on Blu-ray until the end of January. I thought they kind of maybe missed some sales there. You know, it's a specific. It's not like I don't know if it was a mainstream success, but in Japan, I was just thinking since it came out, why would you not fly Vader out there? Why would you not fly Kerr out there, Igor Vovchanjin, and pan over to him? They had Krokop and Big Nog they brought in the ring and gave them flowers. Why not try to tie yourself just in any way to it? Is there some kind of potential marketing opportunity there to get people excited or just to remind them the 2000 Grand Prix existed? Uh, I don't know. I felt like that was kind of maybe a missed opportunity with that
I
being
mean,
this year.
in a way, it's probably because, and I think Michael Schiavello put this over perfectly, is that if you're a kid from the early 2000s, watch this from the early 2000s, they probably wouldn't know who Big Nog or Krokop is. So basically, long story, if you who was born in like 2010 and you give them the opportunity to watch a pro fight or a Minotaur Nogueira fight, they probably wouldn't know who either of those are.
We that old?
Hmm. I mean, either 15 to 8, but so that you would have to, watch a fight from those days of Big Nog or Krokoff. We would basically have a ball just, you know, ooh, this fight was so great. Might as well watch it back in like it was back in 2000.
Yeah.
But still, the long story short, I think once they get the Smash Blu-ray more around fight, fight, of course, it's gonna be another payday. But still, for all I have basically said down to your end, is there anything that you would like to? I mean, I know that you're not really that much of a social media savvy person. I know you got Instagram and Discord, and that's just about it. But if there's any way for the people who care about you, who want to connect with you, is there any way that you can reach out to? If there, what am I-
Yeah.
if there's any way for people to reach out to you other than Discord and Instagram, what would that be?
Yeah, I'm still banned for life from Twitter. But
Boo.
um, MMA Buzz is on Facebook. You can always check them out. I'll contribute if there's any live updates. If we get another cool King of Sparta, Queen of Sparta tournament, if I travel around and give any live updates, it'll be through them. So you can find me on Instagram at Dean Honeybadge or MMA Buzz, MMABuzz.com, covering the Rocky Mountain region. Um, yeah, I noticed, there's a Team Elevation fighter that is going to Japan. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
go up there, get punched by him a few times, get the real story, kind of like the kind of I don't know if you remember who George Plimpton is, one of the early investigative journalists. He joined the Detroit Lions as not a pro football player. So I kind of like to put myself, go spar the best guys, go fight the best guys, and give you that story, right from somebody who's felt them myself. So yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
I'll get to work with
I,
some fighters you've heard of.
to be honest, Dean, I kind of remember who you were talking about. It's just the fact that I probably would do better searching him up. As far as the fighter you mentioned, yes, there is one fighter from your neck of the woods, Daniel Agri, the Ghanaian samurai. His last name is spelled Aggrey. He is going over to fight for a pound out later this week, as of the time of recording. He's going to fight for Hiroyuki Takaya's promotion, facing off against RIZIN and Shudo veteran Wataru Yamauchi. So,
Street Fight Bancho.
yeah, Street Fight Bancho, Hiroyuki Takaya got a promotion that's been doing well and putting out prospects. Thing is, when it comes down to Daniel, it was so late notice that I almost forgot it was even booked. But, hoping the best for him, hoping the best for Elevation Fight Team. And, hopefully he can come back to the Rocky Mountains with a win. I mean, I only heard of him because he fought a couple of times in my neck of the woods, which, in case you haven't noticed, is Houston, Texas. I just live 45 minutes south of it. But still, though, point is, hopefully when it comes down to your brand, I mean, aside from the fact that you got banned from Twitter for life, oh, crap, shit. I mean, but still, though, Buzz continues to get that type of major buzz. One more the platform. Focus fight continue to get that type of buzz. I just want to say, first of all, thank y'all for, this is my 5th year on this podcast. This is going to be my 13th year overall. 14th year overall doing in general. Actually, dating back to my days covering just wrestling coverage. Enjoy doing this, and I hope to continue doing more of it. But still, though, if y'all want to check out more of what Focus Fights has in store, first of all, you can check out the Fans Discord. I'm sorry for my lazy time and I'm not putting this out earlier, but you can check out the description of the audio portion of this podcast if you're listening to it. I mean, it's where like-minded fans like myself and Dean get to meet and talk about good old-fashioned fight sports, just shoot the shit, and just talk about whatever it is. Talk about with the reason. Oh, and also, shout out to who is the host and proprietor and damn good human being over on the. Hold up, wait a minute. Because he does a damn good job compared to myself at doing. So you want to go ahead and check Andrew Benjamin's links. They are on the screen if you're watching. They are in the description if you're listening. Audio, of course. And of course, you can go ahead and check out my links and the links to Focus Fights in the description. Now, considering the fact that the next show for RIZIN won't be until March, I don't even like to do anything. I want to do a year in brief retrospective, but I don't know if I'll have that type of time. Still, though, I also have some interviews in the works with members of the Fury FC roster. Richard Burmaster, Antonio Figueiredo has a fight coming up later this week. Burmaster is going to be promoting his act off, trying to put it over. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the listen for that. As it'll probably be after Fury FC 113. Is there any parting words you would like to put over before I close the book on this?
It's been great, man. Thanks for having me. I always love talking any kind of MMA, especially a awesome show like this. So be around all year. Wish you the best this year, and we'll definitely definitely be keeping our eye and our finger on the pulse and bringing everybody all the updates and cool news we can.
Yeah, of course. And I'm just gonna go ahead and, well, first of all, if Jay Wolf was here to that part fight, he would definitely say Pride FC never died.
Pride
Pride
to
is
die.
Pride is rising. But most importantly, I thank y'all for listening to all we have in store. If I one love world, yourself at all times. Keep all the shit that has happened just the first 11 days of this year alone. And you never know. And you never know just what the story leads to, who might you for the good that you were, for the kind person that you were, for the person who didn't want to pass by that you were. I know it's basically getting too into detail, but still, keep fighting because you never know who might hear your story or what type of good people might give in your memory. And that's all I can say about that. If you listen to the audio version, you'll hear my rant about it. Still, though, point is, we're just here to talk about RIZIN. I'm just here to enjoy being a fight fan. You know, we enjoy doing this, and we hope that you will catch us again, if not late, because we hope to keep talking about RIZIN until we get a soccer kick and hopefully it won't be any time. But the Honey Badger, Dean Burley, I have been to kill my cricket. We hope to see y'all next time, whenever it be. Hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later. Deuces, Matane, I and we out.
Who's